how does Onyx compare to Vulcan 7?
Yeah, this is a question we get faced with quite a bit. I think the best way to answer it is that REDX and Vulcan 7 have two different philosophies when it comes to delivering this type of service. Vulcan 7 is really focused on reducing the number of phone calls you have per lead. And the challenge that comes with that is when you're trying to reduce the number of phone numbers you give, inherently you actually reduce the number of opportunities that there are. Because if you don't have a high level of confidence that this phone number might be correct, you just don't deliver the phone number. And so that all of a sudden, reduces the total number of opportunities. REDX's philosophy is all about getting the maximum number of opportunities out of a given set of expired leads. So we would rather add a phone number or two so that you have an increased opportunity of getting a hold of that homeowner and working that lead. The way this came about is just us talking to our top producing agents. And so if I talked to one of our top prospectors and said to them, hey, if I gave you the choice between less opportunities but fewer phone numbers and more expired lead opportunities but you got to make a few extra phone calls, which one would you rather have? And all of our customers, these top producing clients, were like, give me more phone numbers. I'll make more phone calls. I use a triple line dialer. I'll rip through those things, no problem. My triple line dialer will get rid of disconnected numbers. It's going to get rid of wrong numbers. It'll help me leave the voicemails. I don't care about that. In fact, often the top producing agents, what's separating them from lower producing agents is their willingness to make more phone calls. So as we developed Onyx, our whole focus was how do we increase the total number of opportunities that we have, and not how do we necessarily hide any number we're not super confident about.
So you guys you're pulling from different data sources. You're pulling more data sources, and I'm getting more numbers. I like that as an agent because that hard to reach expired, man, that's the one that's only interviewing me lots of times.
Right.
Everybody else has given up on them. So, or if they've got to go down through a bunch of numbers to get them, they're going to give up on them. I want the hard to get expireds because those have less competition. That makes a lot of sense. So Vulcan 7 is, I noticed when I'd used it before that I didn't get a whole lot of numbers. Or I didn't feel like I got a whole lot of numbers. I told you I was pretty loyal to REDX. So when I used them and I switched back, I noticed that with your basic service, the standard service, this was before Onyx. I even knew Onyx existed. I was getting more numbers with that than I was Vulcan 7. So,
yeah.
So that's
well. What's interesting about you bringing that up is in a lot of the online forums when there has been comparison made. If you have really experienced prospectors and they're comparing even our basic service against Vulcan 7, a lot of them will say what you just said. I got more overall opportunities. Now, the cost, if you think of it that way, was that you probably had to make more phone calls than you would have on Vulcan 7. But again, that's a mindset thing, and a lot of real estate agents, they want to do it. I'll give you an example. In two of the markets that we looked at in particular with Vulcan 7, I talked about how if you try to hide the bad numbers, you're going to reduce total opportunities. Two of the markets we looked at with Vulcan 7, they were only delivering 25% of the available expired leads in those markets. So think about that. If you've got 500 expired leads that were available in your MLS over a 30-day period, that means that out of Vulcan 7, you're basically only going to get 125 of those expireds where they're delivering phone numbers for them. And then when we measured Octane, because we can only measure Octane against the leads they give you phone numbers, they got 38% Octane for the 125. Well, that meant that you would get a hold of about 47 owners, 48 owners out of those 500. Now you contrast that with Onyx. Onyx, we're delivering all 500 leads, right?
Yep.
And so when we say you get a 44% Octane with Onyx, that means that you're going to get in contact with 215 instead of 47.
Wow, so it's 4 to 5 times more numbers.
Yes, but the perception, you can't perceive that if you just log into Vulcan and all you see is 125. That's all you think. What agents need to do if they're on Vulcan is go look in Vulcan, see how many leads they're getting in their market that have data, and then go check on their MLS for that period of time and see if there's more. In fact, on one of our accounts, we had to call them up and say, hey, where's all of our other data? So, anyways, that sort of speaks to this idea of different philosophies, right? I mean, our philosophy is about increasing the number of opportunities.